Carol Gale.
Good evening. The 2021 SBAC scores are in, and Hartford still lags behind the state average by 30 percentage points. When will you start listening to what will truly make a difference? Perhaps you'll listen to research from the book Teaching with Poverty in Mind by Eric Jensen. Quote, many schools and districts tout such slogans as, "We make our students the #1 priority." The problem is that to truly make that happen, you need staff members who feel included, supported, challenged, and nurtured. In other words, who feel that they are #1 as well. When you take care of your staff members, they can take care of the students. The better your staff is, the better the academic achievement at your school will be. Top teachers crave challenge and workplace flexibility and look for highly supportive administrators that continually strive to upgrade their skill, unquote. Hartford Public Schools lost too many of our best teachers this year because they did not find these qualities at Hartford Public Schools. Jensen lists actionable ideas for school success. Again, I quote, increase teachers' control and authority. In general, teachers are more willing to become accountable when they have some say-so over the processes involved. Give teachers input on such matters as team teaching, staff development, curriculum, budget, personnel changes, and school-wide decision-making. Number 2, value your teachers. Many teachers feel underpaid, undervalued, and overworked. Quit assuming that staff members are tireless workhorse volunteers. Acknowledge staff, celebrate your staff, make staff members feel ownership. 3, provide more enrichment, more field trips, real-life experiences, the arts, athletic activity, and advanced placement curriculum into the school day. And avoid these achievement killers. Don't put staff last. Put staff first on your list of priorities because teacher quality matters. Teachers need classroom supplies, emotional support, and development. Your staff needs to feel they are supported by the administration. Give teachers the time they need for distressing, debriefing, and collaborating. Excellence takes time. You cannot expect your staff to get results in a high-stakes, challenging job with no planning time. Don't create a climate of fear. Staff needs leeway to try out new things, to take risks with students and step outside the box now and then. Keep the climate focused on the overarching mission and cut teachers slack when needed. Don't measure improvement solely through test scores. A key feature of high-performing schools is an unwillingness to accept state or district tests as the sole measures of achievement. Don't treat symptoms and not the causes. Avoid wasting precious time, money, teacher morale, and emotional energy on solutions that only treat the symptoms, unquote. And my last quote from Jensen, quote, until your school finds ways to address the social, emotional, and health-related challenges that your kids face every day, academic excellence is just a politically correct but highly unlikely goal. Your staff is the key to student success, and it's time to rethink how they use their time, unquote. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Pano. Laura Pano, perhaps Pano.
Oh, let me take this off. Hello, members of the board, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm here representing the paraprofessionals of the IGO rooms. If you don't know what IGO stands for, it stands for Independence is the Goal for the students in these rooms. These rooms are self-contained and contain some of Hartford's neediest of students. These children are often in diapers no matter the age. I'm going to give you an example of a day in our room. Currently, I am in a room with 7 children, grades 3 to 5, with 1 other para and a teacher. We begin our day eating breakfast, then the 2 of us bring one of the children to the bathroom, we change her diaper, then we begin schooling the children. 4 of these students are hand over hand for writing, 4 cannot read, and 2 are nonverbal. 3 of these students could be mainstreamed into a regular classroom, but there are no paras to bring them to an inclusive classroom. This is educational neglect. There's no 2 ways about it. Yesterday, the other para in my room had to leave because her granddaughter was exposed to COVID. So she'll be out for the rest of the week. That leaves me and another teacher in the classroom. That would be a 1 to 7, 1 para, 7 children, 1 teacher. Now the teacher has to do her job at the same time. We are changing diapers 7 to 1 in person with students, yet we haven't had a raise in over 6 years. The cost of living has gone up 3% a year, and in 6 years, that would be 18%, yet we haven't gotten a raise. My take-home paycheck for doing all this is $592.83. That's less than $300 a week for a position that requires an associate's degree. I have a bachelor's. So, the most I'm able to save for my retirement is $103 biweekly, and that's the maximum that I'm allowed. Our steps have been frozen forever. We don't get paid for mandatory CEUs. We are asked to drive to schools for mandatory PDs because we need to be kept an eye on. We hear constantly how we're so important to the classroom and we're an important wheel in the cog of Hartford schools, but $592.83 isn't showing me how important we are. So I ask you this, if you had a son or a daughter that was working as a para with an associate's degree that they worked really hard for, do you think that they would deserve to be paid $592.83? Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Reed.
Yes. Good evening, Hartford Board of Ed members and Dr. Torres Rodriguez. My name is Kim Reed, and I am a paraeducator in an IGO room in the Hartford Public School Systems. Today, while working at my job, I was kicked in the cheek by a student, had my hearing aid pulled out, and my glasses thrown to the floor by a student. I left the room to gain my composure, but before I left, I said to the teacher, I don't make enough money to suffer this type of abuse. I wish I could say that this was a one-time event, but in our IGO rooms, these outbreaks occur many times a week. We do not have enough paras to man these rooms, or woman these rooms, or person these rooms. So I say to you again, we as paraeducators do not get paid enough money to suffer this form of mental and physical abuse. It is time for you, the Board of Ed, to take action and address the needs and the rights of your workers. I called one of the directors of special ed to let them know about this situation. And the reply was, no one is applying for para positions. Again, you as administrators are unwilling to recognize the fact that, number one, People aren't going to apply for a job that pays so little and demands so much. Number two, people will not apply for a job that is labeled temporary. In the business world, the probationary period for a new hire is 3 months. If someone starts after the beginning of the school year, they are not made permanent until the following year. Paraeducators should be extended the same professional courtesy as everyone else. Finally, I would like to state that our beautiful and capable iGoal students are being deprived of their educational rights. Due to the shortage of paraeducators in our rooms, these children are unable to push out into the mainstream, which is indicated in their IEPs. Hence, the Hartford Board of Education is in direct violation of the IEPs of our iGoal students.
Thank you. Shelley Davis.
Good afternoon, Dr. Torres, members of the board. It's good to see you all. I am Shelley Davis, and I am the president of the Paraeducators. Many could not be here today because they have to work 2 or 3 jobs. The unions have been asked to stand shoulder to shoulder with the board, and I must remind you of recent history. The unions stood up, and some effectively took pay cuts, while others took zeros during the Great Recession from 2008 to 2012. And for paraeducators, we're still at all zeros. The union stood up above and beyond during the pandemic. I want to remind you of the sacrifices that have been made during the last year and a half. The pandemic has taken an egregious toll on our communities, our students, and ourselves. We have lost more than a few to COVID-19. Many more have survived COVID-19 but have lasting effects. It is time for this Hartford Board of Education to stand up as we have already done. It is time for the board to turn our Hartford schools into safe and healthy places for employees to work and for its children to learn and grow. It is time for this Hartford Board of Ed to value all employees with a salary above poverty level. It is time. It is time for this board to make sure all employees have affordable health insurance. It is time. It is time for this Hartford Board of Education to offer a career advancement plan with interviews and placements for more than just family and friends. And it is time for this Hartford Board of Ed to stop talking about the change and be the change. And it is time for us to change. I'd like to leave you with a little quote. Do you want to be safe and good, or do you want to take a chance and be great? It's time to be great. Thank you.
Tiffany Moyer, Washington.
All right, I'm Tiffany Moyer, Washington, 18-year veteran of Hartford Public Schools. This is Stephen Tatum. He is going to be my visual aid for my short presentation here. So I just want to reiterate at the beginning, this isn't about individuals or specific people or programs. This is about an entire system. There's research recently shows that teachers make about $1,500 educational decisions throughout the course of a day. Doctors make 1,800 and make, 3 or 4 times more than what we do. So what I want to show you is what a day in the life of a Hartford teacher is like with all the initiatives and things we're asked to juggle each day. So we start out with things like our lesson plans, being prepared to teach, staying up on pedagogy, content, and of course, most importantly, caring about our students. Okay, now we got to add in differentiation for our students with 504s and IEPs. And of course, we have trauma-informed practices, anti-racism work, and mandated district testing. Oh, but there's a teacher shortage, so coverage during your prep, district model for excellence and Naviance. Advisory with new social-emotional curriculum, content standards, and evaluations. Oh, there's also external factors too. A student in your second block class lost everything in a fire. Since you go the extra mile, could you contribute to the GoFundMe? Oh, here, Power School's down again. PSAT's second step, Link Spring. More district testing. And the Wi-Fi is down. Weekly professional development, learning walks, neighborhood shootings, back to restorative, informal observations, last period on a Friday. Pacing guide and the new intervention program. But since we can't hire any new intervention specialists, you have to fit it into your content and curriculum. Oh, then we have active shooter drills, SLOs, 3 feet where possible, and parent communication. And all of this is happening during a global pandemic. More testing. Don't forget to build relationships with your students. Grades are due on Monday, and Power School is down for routine maintenance again. Another anonymous survey from the district where you include your school, subject, and years of teaching. Quarantine. Oh, half the kids are home and the other half are in front of you. Here's a fire drill. A child's not in uniform and they're hungry, and since you go the extra mile, you give them a snack that you purchase with your own money. Vector training. Don't forget, we haven't dropped close reading. Coverage again. You're taking time for self-care, right? With us, not to us. With us, not to us. With us, not to us. With us, not to us.
Grace Fig. So it might be Figueroa because I'm looking at a computerized list.
Good evening, everybody. I know it's been a long night. I don't want to keep beating the same drum, but my name is Grace Figueroa. I'm the Union Vice President of the SPO Local 1018D. I'm a mother of 2. I'm here also representing the coalition. And as you can see, my team is finally here. And I want to thank them. I want to thank them because they made a lot of sacrifices just to be here tonight. They gave up overtime hours. They gave up their second job, their third job to be here today. And I love them. That's my family right there. That's family right there. They're parents too. They're all contributing members of this community working paycheck to paycheck. And I know we've talked about students and how we need to improve the excellence. And we have plans, 3-year plans and everything just to improve the kids' education. But again, we need to focus on our staff members. We're deemed as essential workers, but still get looked over. We're deemed not as important when it comes to being the recipients of post-pandemic grants to help with protecting and serving the community. Our officers work alongside as best as possible with other staff members because we realize it takes a village to raise our beautiful children. I may not have the certification as a teacher, but guess what? We are all educating these kids. We're all doing what we love. We're here, and we still have been here for years. And for the last 7 years, without a contract, we're still here showing that we care about this community. And then we hear about that, and within this last year, there's a new hire incentive pay. I wonder why is that? Everybody's fleeing from the district. Nobody wants to work here anymore. It's not just low wages, it's the underappreciation. Our students need that consistency. We got to focus on the appreciation of the employees that you do have. And guess what? I have here in my hands petitions from a whole bunch of schools within the district. Not just of our officers, but signatures, pretty much saying, advocating and vouching how many people support their community school special police officer. Let me read to you what our petition says. When you sign this petition, you are showing your solidarity, that you are aware that since July 1st, 2014, the SPO Safety Department has gone without a new contract or raise. It's been over 7 years that SPOs have been waiting patiently and with diligence in their duties for a new and fair contract. We would like to see change, and we want to see a new contract no later than the end of this year. I'm tired of our meetings getting canceled. I'm tired of feeling hopeful, and then next thing you know, canceled. It's like cancel culture. We're part of that cancel culture. Let's not mention the dangers of our position. I mentioned back in February, March, April, and May. I said that after being quarantined for almost a year, this was going to be a really unique year. And guess what? Students came back with a different mindset. They're not used to the classroom. They're not used to the hallways. They won't be used to certain type of structure. That is where the SPOs come in to bridge that gap between the streets and the hallways to a classroom. We called it. We called it. It's only been 16 active school days, and we have had to redirect out-of-bounds students over 60 times. That's only 16 days. We have had 21 confirmed COVID cases in one school. But we're still there, and a lot of our offices have underlying health conditions themselves, and they're still working. We have had 19 calls to assist in very aggressive situations within 16 days. Calls in search of weapons, 14 calls for a special assignment, 14 calls responding to mental health crisis, and nobody checks up on us. Is that right? Nobody's checked up on us. Strong-willed, strong-minded, compassionate, firm stance along with the integrity, all qualities that do not come easy and are underappreciated. And I'm going to reiterate this again because I said this back in March. Last year in February, the community questioned you all, why didn't a $133 million budget go towards safety and security after a stabbing that happened in one of our high schools? Despite my extensive background, we have a lot of former COs, we have a lot of former HPD, we have a lot of former military, right? And we have parents right along the side who's been here for over 20 years working, and they're ready to leave. That consistent face that a lot of our students trust, that they leave home to come to just see, they're like, hey, I wanted to see you today. You know, and it takes notice. When we are absent, they say, Mister, why weren't you here? I needed you. And despite this extensive background and knowing this, I have to look at my children every morning. Mind you, they're in the audience right now. I got it. And I have to say, I'll see you later, guys. I have to say goodbye not knowing if I'll come back the same way I left them, or they will come back the same way I gave them. Much like the sacrifices of a police officer, but at the end of the day, that's not our job title, nor do we get paid like one. And nothing against police officers, because they're a big part of our community too. And with our students being killed at a steady rate, and our kids being ignored left and right in the streets, we're here to bridge that gap. So I ask you today, please, please, for the love of God, consider my team gave up everything today. And this, it's time for change, guys. I'm sorry for crying up here, but this is an emotional moment. This takes a lot. I had so many people come up to me and say, please, can you mention this? Please, can you do that? I lost sleep. I got to go to a third shift job tonight, much like our other officers here. And guess what? After that third shift job, I had to come back home, get my kids dressed, and get them ready for school, and come back to my first shift job, the school. And I don't complain. I just want you to be aware of what's going on. You know, that's his life right now, and we're tired. Thank you.